Let's talk about archaeology in World of Warcraft. Blizzard added archaeology in Cataclysm, but they haven't really made great use of it since, especially when you remember just how strong the actual theme is, in terms of its ability to flesh out the lore, and also the fact that it's basically Indiana Jones stuff, and that's pretty cool. Plus, much of the work is already done for them. If they just throw in a tomb and some decent gameplay, people will instantly start to think of Lara Croft and Indiana Jones, and they'll get that vibe that really is widely loved. So I think that revamping this secondary profession would provide a fantastic side activity for the game, and my overall plan would be to add a faction, tweak dig sites, and allow dig sites to spawn special events. And I'll get through this stuff now. Do be aware that everything sort of follows on from everything, so you probably need to wait and hear all of it. Now then, first of all, the Explorers League. They are a faction that surrounds this profession. I'm sure the Horde can work out some sort of equivalent. Reputation is gained by solving artifacts and completing dig site events, and at set reputation brackets you unlock a story quest. These quests are essentially large-scale sort of expeditions that the Explorers League do, kind of like a big archaeological dig in real life. These would offer a fun questline with a nice reward at the end, and they could be used to flesh out some really key points of the game's more historical lore, which could be a great opportunity. Now then, dig sites. I think they should be tweaked up a little bit. I'd like it if there were a few different types of dig site. You would have the current ones, which would function similar to how they do today, but there would also be different kinds of sites. So I would have a site that is basically similar to a Warlords of Draenor bonus objective, where you do a few different things. Not an Apexis Daily, where it's just do anything. No, a bonus objective where you do set things, and then at the end of that, you open a chest of some sort, be that maybe you getting past the vault door or a titan chest, and that will be full of loot. I would also really like some new indoor dig sites, which make use of no flying by having jumping challenges, and various different forms of environmental threats. Kind of like your Indiana Jones going through a tomb. And if you were to think of, say, the Mogushan Vault area, you would have some of that, but also with a little bit of a mix of maybe, statues which whack in front of them, or just various things like that. The point here is to provide variation and somewhat break up the tedium of going from dig site to dig site, because right now you just go from one dig site to the other, and honestly, it's not particularly exciting because you're just clicking on a few things. Well, a bit more variety would hopefully help that out. Completing dig sites and solving artifacts could also allow you to proc a special event. Now, for example, at the end of an indoor dig site, you could make your way to the end of a chest, and inside that chest, you would find your regular fragments and keystones, but you might also find a treasure map, which would lead you to what I'm calling events. So then, events, what are they? Well, I've got a few different ones on paper here. First, a randomized quest from a pool that is based off the lore type of a dig site. Doing one of these quests for the first time would involve some sort of unique reward, and these rewards are mostly toys and pets. But like with the current archaeology, you would add a few more sort of exciting rewards like cool weapons or a transmogre mount for a particularly cool quest, or something that sort of follows a really key bit of lore. These would also give you a decent number of keystones and fragments. I'd love it if these quests also involve some of the more fun-oriented mechanics, like the barrel roll from the Golden Lotus quest, stuff that really fits in with that Indiana Jones motif that Blizzard would invariably end up going with because they just can't help themselves. Next, a loot scenario. This would be very similar to the Thunder King treasure trove. You spawn into a tomb and you have to raid it. Some of these would be timed, like with the Throne of Thunder scenario, but others would be pure traversal and mechanics sort of based, like avoidance and stuff like that. And finally, some would involve venturing into dangerous areas where you might have the odd enemy to fight. So no matter what type, the rewards here would be really abundant. These are rare scenarios, so it's totally okay for them to carry a decent amount of stuff. First, you would get a lot of artifacts and keystones, because that's just kind of nice. And second, you could get grey vendor trash with a significant gold value. Something like this should feel akin to getting one of the goblin treasure vaults in Diablo 3, but of course the amount of gold would not be game-breaking and would have to be balanced. Specific rewards would depend on the type of scenario, i.e. what race it's based off. So it could be, you know, toys, mounts, pets, whatever, just cool stuff that fits the race. Blizzard are fine at making that stuff. Now, it would take a lot of work to do these, but we do know from the reception of the Trophy of the Thunder King, or whatever it was called, in patch 5.2, that gameplay like this is something that people actually really do like, because it went down very well back then. Now, the other kind of event that I have here is a rare spawn. This is just a rare mob that would spawn in a dig site area. They would be of varying difficulties, with the harder ones carrying better rewards. These would be a lot more common than other events, and they would just essentially be a nice stash of artifact fragments. Also, the role of artifacts could be a bit different. There was a period in Cataclysm where they were vendorable. The gold per hour was not great, but some of the rarer solves did give you a decent amount of gold, and while it was not an effective money-making venture, it did add something to archaeology in that it was at least a consolation prize for not getting the solve that gave you a mount or a pet. And I do get the appeal of the way the current system is set up with the crates, but I don't think it's that exciting whatsoever. Perhaps they could let you either turn your solves in like what you do today, and sell them if you wanted to take that option. Maybe that would be a nice sort of split between the two. Of course, having mount, toy, and pet rewards is great, and stuff like that would stay the way that it currently is. Perhaps we might even get a few unique mounts. Wouldn't that be nice, Blizzard? Yeah, you could do that every once in a while. It would be cool. So you could also take this a lot further, but the idea of this video was essentially just to add a few things on top of the current system, mostly using mechanics that they've already developed to make something a lot better. But anyway, that's basically it for today. I think this would be a nice little tweak to the, the archaeology system that would give people a secondary thing that they might actually do, unlike current archaeology. If you want to chat about this topic further, then hit me up on Twitter. And in closing, what kinds of events and rewards would you like to see from an archaeology revamp? Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.